led to waves of Jewish emigration from other parts of the Middle East. Today, approximately 43% of the global Jewish population resides in Israel. In 1979, the Egypt-Israel Peace Treaty was signed, based on the Camp David Accords. In 1993, Israel signed the Oslo I Accord with Palestine Liberation Organization, which was followed by the establishment of the Palestinian National Authority. In 1994, the Israel-Jordan Peace Treaty was signed. Despite efforts to finalize the peace agreement, the conflict continues to play a major role in Israeli and international political, social and economic life. Prehistory. Eshkol Cave, the oldest evidence of early humans in the territory of modern Israel, dating to 1.5 million years ago, was found in Nubia near the Sea of Galilee. 12. Flint tool artifacts have been discovered at Iran, the oldest stone tools found anywhere outside Africa. Other groups include 1.4 million years old Equulean industry, the Bizarre Ruhama group and Geshavnot Yaakov. 13, in the Mount Carmel area at El Taban, and Eshkol. 14, Neanderthal and early modern human remains were found showing the longest stratigraphic record in the region, spanning 600,000 years of human activity. 15, from the Lower Paleolithic to the present day, representing roughly a million years of human evolution. 16, other notable Paleolithic sites include Caves Kizum and Mano. The oldest fossils of anatomically modern humans found outside Africa are the skull and calf hominids, who lived in northern Israel 120,000 years ago. 17, around 10th millennium BCE, the Nachavian culture existed in the area. 18, Canaan. The Canaanites are archaeologically attested in the Middle Bronze Age, 2100–1550 BCE. 19. There were probably independent or semi-independent city-states. Cities were often surrounded by massive earthworks, resulting in the archaeological tells common in the region today. In the late Middle Bronze Age, the Nile Delta in Egypt was settled by Canaanites who maintained close connections with Canaan. During that period, the Hyksos dynasties of Canaanite/Asiatic origin ruled much of Lower Egypt before being overthrown in the 16th century BCE. 20. Lion and lioness at play. Canaanite sculpture showing a lion and a lioness at play. Beit Shean, 14th century BCE. Today in the Israel Museum Tel Dan Gate. Canaanite period gate, Tel Dan during the late Bronze Age, 1550–1200 BCE. There were Canaanite vassal states paying tribute to the new kingdom of Egypt, which governed from Gaza. 21. In 1457 BCE, Egyptian forces under the command of Pharaoh Thutmose III defeated a rebellious coalition of Canaanite vassal states led by Kadish's king at the Battle of Megiddo. In the late Bronze Age there was a period of civilizational collapse in the Middle East. 22. Canaan fell into chaos and Egyptian control ended. 23. 24. There is evidence that urban centers such as Hazor, Beit Shean, Megiddo, Ekron, Idud and Ascalon were damaged or destroyed. 25. Two groups appear at this time, and are associated with transition to the Iron Age. They used iron weapons /tools which were better than earlier bronze. The Sea peoples, particularly the Philistines, who migrated from the Aegean world and settled on the southern coast, and the Israelites, whose settlements dotted the highlands. 20. Ancient Israel and Judah. Early Israelites, Iron Age I. The earliest recorded evidence of a people by the name of Israel, as YSR, occurs in the Egyptian Merneptah Stele erected for Pharaoh Merneptah, son of Rameses II, c. 1209 BCE, which states Israel is laid waste and his seed is not. 26. the Merneptah Stle. According to mainstream archaeology, it represents the first instance of the name Israel in the historical record. Archaeological evidence indicates that during the early Iron Age hundreds of small villages were established on the highlands of Canaan on both sides of the Jordan River, primarily in Samaria, north of Jerusalem. These villages had populations of up to 400, were largely self-sufficient, 27, 28, and lived from herding, grain cultivation, and growing vines and olives with some economic interchange. 29. The pottery was plain and undecorated. 20. Writing was known and available for recording, even in small sites. 30. William G. Dever sees this Israel in the Central Highlands as a cultural and probably political entity, more an ethnic group rather than an organized state. 31. Modern scholars believe that the Israelites and their culture branched out of the Canaanite peoples, and their cultures thrust the development of a distinct monolatristic and later monotheistic religion centered on a national God Yahweh. 32, 33, 34. According to McNutt, it is probably safe to assume that sometime during Iron Age a population began to identify itself as Israelite, differentiating itself from the Canaanites through such markers as the prohibition of intermarriage, an emphasis on family history and genealogy, and religion. 35. Philistine cooking tools and the prevalence of pork in their diets, and locally made Mycenaean pottery which later evolved into Bichrome Philistine pottery all support their foreign origin. Their cities were large and elaborate, which together with the findings point out to a complex, hierarchical society. 20, 36. Israel and Judah, Iron Age 2. The Tel Dan Stle. The Tel Dan Stle contains earliest reference to the house of David Herbert Xiafa. Herbert Xiafa, an early 10th century fortified city overlooking the Elah Valley, associated by collars with the Kingdom of David, City of David. The stepped stone structure, City of David, Jerusalem. In the 10th century BCE, the Israelite kingdoms of Judah and Israel emerged. The Hebrew Bible states that these were preceded by a single kingdom ruled by Saul, David and Solomon, who is said to have built the first temple. Archaeologists have debated whether the united monarchy ever existed, notes 1, 37, 38, with those in favor of such a polity existing further divided between maximalists who support the biblical accounts, 39, and minimalists who argue that any such polity was likely smaller than suggested. 40, 41. Historians and archaeologists agree that the northern Kingdom of Israel existed by ca. 900 BCE, 42, 43, and the Kingdom of Judah existed by ca. 850 BCE. 44, 45. The Kingdom of Israel was the more prosperous of the two kingdoms and soon developed into a regional power. Winking sad smiley. 46. During the days of the Omride dynasty, it controlled Samaria, Galilee, the upper Jordan Valley, the Sharon and large parts of Transjordan. 47. Samaria, the capital, was home to one of the largest Iron Age structures in the Levant. 48, 49. The Kingdom of Israel's capital moved between Shechem, Penuel and Tirzah before Omri settled it in Samaria, and the royal succession was often settled by a military coup d'etat. The Kingdom of Judah was smaller but more stable. The Davidic dynasty ruled the kingdom for the 4 centuries of its existence, with the capital always in Jerusalem, controlling the Judean mountains, most of the Shephelah and the Beersheba Valley in the northern Negev. 50. In 854 BCE, according to Assyrian records, the Kirk monoliths. 51. An alliance between Ahab of Israel and Ben-Hadad II of Aram Damascus managed to repulse the incursions of the Assyrians, with a victory at the Battle of Karka. This is not reported in the Bible, which describes conflicts between Ahab and Ben-Hadad. 52. Another important discovery of the period is the Mesha Stele, a Mobit Stele found in Devan when Emir Sultan Faiz led Henry Tristram to it as they toured the lands of the vassals of the Bani Saka. 53. The Stele is now in the Louvre. In the Stele, Mesha, king of Moab, tells how Chemosh, the god of Moab, had been angry with his people and had allowed them to be subjugated to the kingdom of Israel. Kingdoms of Israel and Judah. But at length, Chemosh returned and assisted Mesha to throw off the yoke of Israel and restore the lands of Moab. It refers to Omri, king of Israel, 54, to the god Yahweh, 55, 54, and may contain another early reference to the house of David. 55. Jehu, son of Omri, is referenced by the black obelisk of Shalmaneser. 3. Assyrian invasions. Neo-Assyrian Empire at its greatest territorial extent. Tiglath-Pileser III of Assyria invaded Israel in around 732 BCE. 56. The kingdom of Israel fell to the Assyrians following a long siege of the capital Samaria around 720 BCE. 57. The records of Sargon II of Assyria indicate that he captured Samaria and deported 27,290 inhabitants to Mesopotamia. 58. It is likely that Shalmaneser captured the city since both the Babylonian Chronicles and the Hebrew Bible viewed the fall of Israel as the signature event of his reign. 59. The Assyrian deportations became the basis for the Jewish idea of the 10 lost tribes. Foreign groups were settled by the Assyrians in the territories of the fallen kingdom. 60. The Samaritans claim to be descended from Israelites of ancient Samaria who were not expelled by the Assyrians. Detail of the Siloam inscription. It is believed that refugees from the destruction of Israel moved to Judah, massively expanding Jerusalem and leading to construction of the Siloam Tunnel during the rule of King Hezekiah, ruled 715–686 BCE. 61. The tunnel could provide water during a siege and its construction is described in the Bible. 62. The Siloam inscription, a plaque written in Hebrew left by the construction team, was discovered in the tunnel in 1880s and is today held by the Istanbul Archaeology Museum. 63. During Hezekiah's rule, Sennacherib, the son of Sargon, attempted but failed to capture Judah. Assyrian records say that Sennacherib leveled 46 walled cities and besieged Jerusalem, leaving after receiving extensive tribute. 64. Sennacherib erected the Lachish reliefs in Nineveh to commemorate a second victory at Lachish. Hezekiah, king of Judah. Royal seal written in the Paleo-Hebrew alphabet, unearthed in Jerusalem. The writings of 4 different prophets are believed to date from this period: Hosea and Amos in Israel and Micah and Isaiah of Judah. These men were mostly social critics who warned of the Assyrian threat and acted as religious spokesmen. They exercised some form of free speech and may have played a significant social and political role in Israel and Judah. 65, 66. They urged rulers and the general populace to adhere to God-conscious ethical ideals, seeing the Assyrian invasions as a divine punishment of the collective resulting from ethical failures. 67. Under King Josiah, ruler from 641–619 BCE, the Book of Deuteronomy was either rediscovered or written. The Book of Joshua and the accounts of the kingship of David and Solomon in the Book of Kings are believed to have the same author. The books are known as Deuteronomist and considered to be a key step in the emergence of monotheism in Judah. They emerged at a time that Assyria was weakened by the emergence of Babylon and may be a committing to text of pre-writing verbal traditions. 68. Babylonian period, 587–538 BCE. First revolt, 597 defeat. During the late 7th century BCE, Judah became a vassal state of the Neo-Babylonian Empire. In 601 BCE, Jehoiakim of Judah allied with Babylon's principal rival, Egypt. Despite the strong remonstrances of the prophet Jeremiah. 69:70, as a punishment, the Babylonians besieged Jerusalem in 597 BCE, and the city surrendered. 69:71. The defeat was recorded by the Babylonians. 72:73. Nebuchadnezzar pillaged Jerusalem and deported King Jehoiachin, Shphoniah, along with other prominent citizens, to Babylon. Zedekiah, I's uncle, was installed as king. 69:74. A few years later, Zedekiah,